of you had to read books such as Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Jungle, or everybody's favorite, The Scarlet Letter in high school. Sounds familiar, right? While these books are often found on lists of greatest American novels or most influential books of our time, they're also found on quite another list as well, a list of banned books in schools and public libraries. But these are classics, you might say. They're practically synonymous with required reading. Well, not according to parents and special interest groups who've deemed many of these books either racist, vulgar, or sexually explicit, and should therefore be removed from classrooms and libraries across the country. While the controversy of what children should read and what can be deemed inappropriate or appropriate for some children is a different matter, my concern is for the banning of classic literature from libraries and curriculums. I believe that by doing so, it's to deny America's youth exposure to some of the greatest literature of the past century, and thus depriving them of the opportunity to explore the social, racial, and religious issues discussed in such texts. But there is indeed a chance for change through educational decrees that protect classic works, as well as public concern. Allow me to now go step by step through what exactly the problem is, what is causing this to happen, and what steps we can take to solve this educational epidemic. To begin with, what exactly is the problem here? Well, according to the magazine of the American Library Association, as of 2013, since 1990, the Office for Intellectual Freedom has recorded more than 11,000 attempts to remove certain books because of objection to the book's content. And according to the National School Board Association, as of 2005, nearly one-third of challenged books are withdrawn from schools. That's a lot of books. Now, I want to start by saying that I'm not advocating for the placement of 50 Shades of Grey in elementary school library. What I'm concerned about is the removal of classic literature like Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Catcher in the Rye, whose content is imperative to historical and literary studies, and yet tops the list of banned books in the USA each year according to the National School Board Association. So what are the repercussions of this problem? Who is this affecting? For one, books such as Huckleberry Finn and The Jungle constitute a part of our nation's history. They do more than just tell about a certain time period. They frame it and freeze it into bound books, so generations later we know what it was like to live in the racist South or to work in a Chicago meatpacking plant. According to educational journalist Mary Jane Sutter of Helium magazine as of 2007, that even more significant than sharing their history with us, they speak to the social and cultural issues of their times. Without the supplementation of classic literature, children will remain naive to both the moral and historical lessons that these novels can teach us. For instance, To Kill a Mockingbird is claimed to be one of the greatest American novels ever written because it teaches a lesson of what's on the inside counts and stand up for what's right even in the face of persecution. Yet it has been challenged for racism and vulgar language. But if we're too busy being offended by the N-word instead of understanding its social context, then we miss these valuable lessons entirely. So, if classics are being removed from the classrooms, what will be replacing them? Well, according to Lindsay Layton of the Boston Globe, 2012, as of 2013 and 2014 school year, Catcher in the Rye and To Kill a Mockingbird will officially be removed from public school curriculums and be replaced with technical nonfiction. Now, replacing classic literature with technical nonfiction is another problem entirely. The principal issue at hand, however, is the removal of classic literature, which is an imminent epidemic that needs to be addressed immediately. Classic literature not only enhances and enlarges students' view of the world they live in, but also challenges them academically. Classic literature helps students to think critically about the works they're studying and the world they live in and view them through an analytical lens, something that moves past the classroom and can prepare them for college and the rest of life. If book banning means hiding the truth and participating in the removal of these texts, parents are shielding their children from a lot more than bad words. They're shielding them from reality, shielding them from truth, and shielding them from a good education. Now, what exactly is the cause of this problem? How did this happen? How did America land of free speech go to inspiring a library system that resembles Nazi Germany? Well, according to journalist King of USA Today in 2008, parental committees all over the country have challenged books for their indecency, racism, and mature themes and sent thousands of complaints to the ALA. As aforementioned, book banning is just the tip of the iceberg and the snowball effect that is leaning more and more towards the imminent removal of classic literature. According to politics correspondent Merrick of Planet Infowars 2012, due to new educational standards imposed by the National Governors Association and the Council of Chief State School Officers, classics are being replaced in school curriculums all across the country. However, the ALA is not to be blamed. According to ALA President Roberta Stevens, as recorded in the ALA magazine 2010, she asked the question, how can we live in a free society and develop our own opinions if our right to choose reading materials for ourselves and our families is taken away? We must remain diligent and protect our freedom to read. I agree with this 100%. So what can we do? Is there a solution? It is very much up to parents who demand that these books are being banned This means that as a part of a community, we too have a say. Go to a meeting, write to the American Library Association. Just because Mark Twain is being denied his freedom of speech does not mean that yours should be suppressed as well. Don't let another child's parents or group make reading decisions for you or for those of others. According to the magazine for the ALA, it is through public concern and citizen involvement that many of these books are saved. And many people have spoken out on this pressing issue, including Supreme Court Justice Jay Brennan, who so eloquently stated that if there is indeed a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds that idea itself offensive or disagreeable. And I agree 100%. And Justice Brennan is not alone in his claims. In the landmark censorship case of Island Tree Union Free High School versus Pico of 1982, the court asserted that the Constitution does not permit the official suppression of ideas and the banned books be returned to school shelves. What's interesting about this is that this was the case from 1982. This is a long withstanding issue, and I believe that this truly speaks to the imminence of this problem, that we need to solve this now. This is an immediate issue that needs to be worked out now. And in coalition with Justice Brennan's opinions concerning upholding the First Amendment, it is my belief that an educational decree should be passed that protects classic works in libraries, schools, and curriculums. The decree should enforce that in spite of any criteria concerning the appropriateness of a classic work, that the children should have the freedom to seek these books out, and that they're to remain in school libraries and in curriculums that are appropriate to the grade level, of course. And this can be achieved through communication with our senators, representatives, and Department of Education, by writing letters or attending meetings, making sure that our voices are heard. And now allow me to continue. To review. In conclusion, by banning classic literature, more than inappropriate works are being censored. So is the truth, something that every student deserves and should be exposed to, and thus given their own freedom to seek. This is why I ask you to consider the education of students around the country, and even your future children. First, by realizing that book banning is an educational and democratic flaw caused by parents and special interest groups. However, change can be made through public concern and community awareness, and changes in the Department of Education that protect classic literature. But just as with every great book, as in life, there is hope for a change and a resolution. There's hope for a good, happy ending. This is a change that we can all stand for together if we're able to speak out against this immediate educational flaw. Thank you so much.